Let's call the meeting to order. Almighty God, you have blessed us with memory, reason, and skill. Help us to use them wisely and service to our town government. We ask this in thy holy name, amen. Salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. We are going to get with Scott Allen in a few minutes to review the zoning regulations. Is there anyone in the board, in the board room that would like to address the board, probably on a different issue other than zoning, because we are going to go over that extensively after our regular meeting? Okay. I need a motion to approve the minutes of September 10th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 10th.
I'll second that. No.
Okay. Any questions on the minutes of September 10th? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. We also need a motion for the September 24th meeting. This is a special meeting of the town board. I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of September 24th meeting.
This was pertaining to the public hearing on water district.
I'll second that.
Any questions on the 24th meeting? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Pardon?
Yeah, I remember this too.
Oh, there's one that on the table tonight, so.
October 1st.
October 1st meeting,
Yep.
we had a public hearing on October 1st, pertaining to zoning. These are the minutes of that meeting. I need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for October 1st meeting. Second.
Any questions? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. The town clerk's monthly report. I make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the monthly town clerk report for the month of September.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. Okay. For your information only, you have your, I guess it, they need to be approved?
Yeah, that has to be approved.
Okay. Your utility billings for the third quarter need to be approved. Something we started in the past year or so.
Yep.
This is for the water and sewer charges for outside users outside the village. May I have a motion?
I make a motion we approve the utility billing and payment report.
Second that motion.
Any questions on the utility bills? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So also carried. You have your code officer's report for your information only, the activities that he's had in his department. The next thing, you have your dog complaint log. A list of things that the dog compliance officer handles. And you also have, pertaining to that, he had an inspection at the dog shelter in Ross's Point, and it passed all inspections. Okay? On the second sheet, it tells you what they inspected for, things they look for. And he's met all criteria to run a dog kennel for the town. Rabies clinic's coming up. 2 or 3 have already passed. There's one this evening in Shady Z. There's 3 more coming up in the county, Denimora, Moore's Fire Station on October 15th, and the 17th in Beatontown Fire Station. Dogs must be at least 3 months old. They need their first vaccination by the age of 4 months. Okay? That's strictly for information. We have a notice here from Recreate New York Smart Home Program. It's pertaining to the floodplain. Did you get that, Nick? I didn't get it. We just got it last day. They're assessing 38,400 acres in Clinton County. That's in the floodplain. It's a 100-year flood, they said, that we had a couple years ago. Strictly for your information. The Youth Bureau training. Now this is, we're getting it late. It happened last Thursday in Plattsburgh, and our youth badge did attend that. Thank you for that. There's some changes coming up in the youth file, just looking for your information.
89-year-old male.
We got it after the fact, really. A big one, the Regional Computer Recycling and Recovery. That's the little building that we have out in the parking lot here. In good faith, last year, we signed up, I believe in November, to get rid of electronics, TVs, computers. And now, there was money available to them through the government. It's no longer available. CRTVs and monitors. That's the old, big old TVs. Will be no longer accepted free of charge. And I don't know, they want 25 cents a pound to get rid of those. They'll still take the flat screen TVs and computers. And there's no way we can monitor that building after, we got until November 1st. So we need to make a decision if we need to keep going with that project or not. I see no way people are gonna sort their stuff out before they leave it there.
The CRTs are also, there's computer monitors are for CRTs.
Any of the older ones maybe?
You know, they're huge. They're huge. And I'm sure that's the one you're gonna get rid of.
And I explained to the guy, there's no way that we can put somebody out here, and if we leave the building there, people are gonna leave stuff.
Absolutely.
So, we got until November 1st, this is our last meeting.
Yeah.
Before then, we just got this Friday. And
Bring them in a hurry.
they were here today to pick up, by the way.
No, seriously. I
Uh,
don't know how it's gonna work.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
No choice.
You don't have a choice. You're not gonna pay 25 cents a pound. Not when we're sending a ton of money.
2 ton of money.
Well, I'm trying to be
Yeah,
conservative.
yeah. We probably sent 25 ton out in the past year. And old TVs and computers. The average is better than 2 ton a month.
And how many of those are not?
Well, the old ones aren't, so that's the ones people are getting rid of.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Now, the gentleman told me today, he thought the program may be reinstituted another year or two. I don't know how that would possibly work. You start a program, you stop it, you start it again, that ain't gonna work. That's not gonna work. And there's no way we can monitor that. It's been pretty successful. It's very, people, 99% of stuff right there qualifies to be taken away free. There's no way. I just don't know what to say.
Well, we've got ourselves another storage building.
Yep.
You can't leave it up, you can't leave it open.
No.
Even if you leave it there,
Oh.
people are gonna leave stuff outside of it.
Yep.
They may have brought stuff there before, don't see this meeting.
Or signs, or door lock.
Yeah, when it's locked, they'll think that.
We've got that pegged to the ground too.
Well, if it was pegged, it can be unpegged from there.
Well, then we better make it in the form of a motion or whatever that, as of November 1st,
Well,
We would drop in the program.
we just drop them and
You gotta
send
pick it up
them.
before
Due
November
to, due to
1st.
cost.
Yeah.
I mean,
I really think we need to put today's the 8th.
Notification,
it was good while it lasted.
and we better post
I'd
something on
say
the
by the
building.
20th and notify them to come pick it up before the 1st. If they pick it up after the 1st, or somebody's gonna be charged. we certainly cannot, we can pay 25 cents a ton. That's $500 a ton.
And how many tons do we get rid of?
For a 2 ton a month.
At least 2 ton a month we didn't get rid of. Okay? One portion of that is the older CRT, I don't know that. It's kind of too bad.
It is.
The only other thing we can do is have like a 1-day collection, summertime, and somebody be here to monitor it, only accept what's acceptable. They'll come pick it up that way. I don't know if we wanna go that route. Now, Shazy did that last year. They had a 1-day, a Saturday pickup. You know, they got a lot.
Then they charge the folks, you have a little portable
No.
scale there?
No.
No, you only
It was
accept,
free, once a year. They only do it once a year. Okay?
you only accept what they accept.
So it's the will of the board here, what we do.
Yeah, I make a motion to pull the plug on the program. Use
Absolutely.
cost.
Maybe, can we say we can accept stuff up till the 20th of September?
Yeah.
It gives them 10 days to pick it up. Pardon?
October.
October.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
That works for me.
Because if you don't remove that building from there,
Yeah.
It'll be full.
You good? That's a motion?
Yeah.
Do I have a second, guy?
I'll second that motion.
Oh, look.
Go ahead.
Look, yeah, oh, go ahead, you got a comment?
Well, I think we should also post it on there with what's
I
happening.
will encourage that building to be moved. as
No,
soon
I
as
think
it-
what he's saying is put it, you know, you have until
Right.
November 1.
This, unfortunately, this program is being terminated.
Okay, it's sign made up, and after, may I take it the motion, amend the motion to say October 20th? So it gives them 10 days to figure everything out?
Yeah, you gotta give the company time to
Yeah.
find out, right? Yes,
Okay.
okay with me.
Who seconded that, Dick?
Yes,
You agree to that?
absolutely. I
October
mean,
20th? Any other questions? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
but in the meantime, if you hear of something that's changing, well, then
I really hate to get rid of that program. There's no way we can, okay. I know no committee reports other than the highway committee. We've been hauling sand to both of the villages and hauling sand here to our facility here. That'll be done in a very few days, next week, 10 days probably. Just wrapping things up in the highway department, there's no real news there. Julie, we have several things to take care of, as far as mentions, and where do you want to start?
This is all pertaining to the water district.
Yes. Well, no, one isn't. One is the,
Yeah, that is.
Seekers first,
no.
Oh, I need to get those.
I don't know if you have to read the seeker first.
The seeker has to be done before the district. I was told that today. Okay? Okay, I'll put that.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, according to your email from Matt Cooper, he said you only have to complete part 1 of the form.
Page 10 is where we have to sign off. Okay?
So you have to have a motion for the town board to be the lead agency on the seeker.
Okay? May I have a motion? The town to be a lead agency.
I'll make that motion.
Seeker.
The town of the lead agency.
Need a second.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And Matt's gonna, he said he's gonna send letters to all the involved agencies indicating the town's intent to act as lead agency. And then after 30 days, we'll do part two, which is to make a resolution of the negative declaration. I think that's the only step you have to do in the secret part one. You have to sign page 10, it says.
Pardon?
Says you have to sign page 10 of that.
Yes. But do we have to go through, things he checked off? For the secret?
Well, I think the rest, this is all, this,
It's the answers are all self-contained, okay? Got the description? Yeah. It includes approximately 2,406 acres. Okay.
I think this is the all part two of the secret. I don't think this has to be done until after.
Okay,
All these questions,
yes?
that's the way I think, right, Nikki, isn't that?
Part two has to be done after the 30 days.
Yeah.
Part
And all
one is
these
just,
questions are.
right, part one is just
Yeah.
information about the project.
Which is just the
Right,
forming
you-
of the water
Yeah,
district.
you're not deciding any
Number 6.
significance or impacts in part one.
Okay.
We're just saying we're gonna be.
You're gonna be the lead
Lead
agency
agency,
for
yes.
district formation.
All these other questions will be done after the 30 days.
Okay, I need board approval, I would think, to sign page 10. You look at it?
I make a motion that we have the supervisor sign page, the form on page 10, making us the lead agency for the project.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions?
We should do roll call.
Yeah, no problem. John?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Yes, for myself. You, this is a signed copy, okay? Okay. Point of water district.
Formation of the water district resolution. You want me to read this off?
Well, as part of, for what the intent is, okay, you don't have to read the whole thing.
Whereas the town board has reviewed the map plan and report of the proposed water district number 6, facilities created by burning a car, an engineer duly licensed by the state of New York, and whereas the aforesaid map plan and report has been duly filed with the town clerk in accordance with the requirements of Article 12A of the town law. The maximum cost is $13,420,000. Adopted this resolution calling for a public hearing, which was on September 24th, 2013 at 7 p.m.
Now, this motion is subject to permissive referendum. So it has, you have to publish that, Julie, contract?
Yes.
It has to be published and people have up to 30 days. Okay? Okay, just,
So you have to schedule another public hearing, but we had one on the 24th.
Right.
I do not believe we need a public hearing if nobody,
Unless there's a
Public,
petition that,
permissive referendum, if somebody requests a permissive referendum, then we have to have it.
Okay.
Otherwise you do not. Nikki, am I correct? Okay, I'm pretty certain of that. Okay. I need a motion to approve formation of Water District number 6. Am I correct,
Yes.
Julie?
yes,
Yes.
For the construction and maintenance and repair of all improvements. I'll make that motion. I'll move. Okay, we'll do it.
I'll second that motion.
Any questions? We'll have a roll call vote on that too then. John?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
Yes, for myself. Okay. That's all we need for the water district, correct?
Yes, because we have already did the teacher.
The other thing from Bill Favreau, pertaining to, please attach local law in connection with the above reference to the use of the public hearing. I'd like to set a public hearing,
This will be local law number 3
local law number 3,
of 2013. This is to override the tax levy.
if we need to do that.
Yes.
We're not sure we need to do that. Public hearing, we'll like to schedule it for our November meeting, which will be November 12th. Right? Okay. I'll make a motion. Pardon?
When's election day?
Good.
Right.
Oh, is it?
Right, yeah.
I thought it was 12.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve public hearing for local law number 3 for November 12th at 7:15. Can I have a motion?
I so move.
Second. Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's also carried. What else you have, Julie, right? Okay. You have some additional bills?
Oh, yeah.
I need a motion to approve the bills. Julie's got 2.
We got 2. This is for the Town of Champlain Water District Program for Bernard Card for the engineer fees, $21,832.37. And then also one for Joshua Castine for half of his work shoes, $75.60.
Okay. Motion to approve the bills. How do you want to handle? All the bills you got on your desk tonight, plus the 2 that you read, if this is a desired report.
We're not gonna discuss that with Bernie in the car.
Well, I had some discussion today with them, and the discussion late in the day was, is this gonna be divided up between the 2 municipalities, okay? And we're not sure of that yet. We are the lead agency, should we put the bill off until we have a meeting on the
Is that your suggestion?
My suggestion is to hold the bill,
22nd?
because how much are we out already on engineering fees this year?
30-some thousand dollars.
I prefer we hold it and we do some research on it.
And this money will all come back to us out of the first grant, but
Right.
still we're fronting the money,
Okay.
okay? So, if that's the case, I need a motion to pay the bills except that one.
You have a motion.
The,
You started the motion, right?
Not to pay it. I just wonder, on the second bill, the second part of the bill, I just wanna have more research on it. And the first part of the bill was just the shoes, that's all you have, right?
Yeah.
that's not an issue.
I make a motion to pay that.
Okay, we'll add the one to the monthly bills, and we'll hold the other one. Is that the motion, John?
Yes.
I'll second that.
I thank you. Any questions on the rest of the bills?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. I have nothing else other than zoning and planning. Does anybody else have anything to bring before the board? Do you have anything else, Joe?
No?
Okay. Scott, I think you're on.
Okay, Mr. Supervisor, thank you very much, gentlemen of the board, thank you, and members of the public. Thank you, I'd just like to say that the public hearing, I think, last Tuesday, a week ago, October 1st, went very well. You know, I'm particularly happy to see that first of all, that there was a lot of public participation at that public hearing. And I'm also happy to see that it really seemed to boil down to two issues out of the entire rewrite that we've done, that the committee members have done with the zoning amendment. That it appears that it's really down to two issues. And I think those are primarily a section on page 27 or 28 regarding the keeping of farm animals, horses. That was something that we heard about. And also on the following page, the section on travel trailers. Those seem to be the two issues that had the most comment. In fact, I think they were pretty much exclusively the two issues that had comment. I think the committee did a very good job. I think they should be commended. And I think Julie did a good job keeping a record of that public hearing, which you saw tonight and voted on and accepted the minutes of that public hearing. So, as we stated at the public hearing, we will come back to the town board and seek your direction, your instructions on how you want to proceed. I guess there's a couple of options. I guess we can, you know, you can vote tonight, I suppose, if you want to do that. You can adopt the amended zoning ordinance as written. I guess another option would be to have you know, a discussion about those two sections, look at the revised language, see what you want to do with that language, or perhaps a third option is to have the zoning amendment advisory committee reconvene and look at that language and propose some new language to the town board, and then the town board can decide whether they want to hold a new public hearing to go over those changes, or to vote on it at your next town board meeting. So I think, you know, those are pretty much the options I think that you have. And
If any changes are made, we do need another public hearing.
well, you know, again, I think in the words of, you know, what Mr. Favreau said, the town attorney that was here at the public hearing, I think what he was saying is if there's substantive changes to the document, then it should go back to a public hearing. You know, I guess it's a bit of an interpretation of substantive or not. You know, these, you know, when you look at it in the broad context of the whole amended zoning, you're down to just two issues. Perhaps it's not substantive, but those, however, at the same time are issues that I think the public feels very strongly about. So, you know, maybe it is substantive, but, you know, if, you know, it's really up to the town board. If you want to hold another public hearing, I'm certainly happy to, you know, come to that and you know, do everything I can to assist in the process. So, I think, you know, those are your options. Whether or not you hold a public hearing, again, I think it's up to you. I think there's no, you know, it's not a clear-cut matter that I'm aware of that says you have to hold a public hearing. You certainly, you know, as a town board, you have you've held the public hearing, you've taken the testimony from the public, you know what the issues are. I think it's pretty clear what those issues are. So, you know, it's up to you whether you want to, you know, act tonight to change the language, adopt the ordinance as it is, or, you know, ask the committee to get together again and draft some new language and submit it to you, and you know, put it on the website and schedule another public hearing. Entirely up to you.
Okay. I understand from what Bill Farrell told us, those people now have horses. are grandfathered in. Am I correct?
That's my understanding, absolutely, yeah. Any condition that exists up until the point you adopt the amended zoning would be grandfathered as long as what's existing complies with the zoning ordinance that's in effect today. And as far as I know, I don't know that there is anything that addresses farm animals. I mean, it's, you know, again, as I said at the public hearing, we reviewed a lot of other town ordinances. You know, there's a certain movement in society these days to you know, raise livestock, you know, at your own home, you know, your more organic farming kind of movement. You know, have chickens and so forth, you know, in your backyard, have your own eggs, have some animals, that kind of thing. That seems to be, you know, growing throughout society. So the members of the committee thought it was a good time, you know, to take a look at that and set some ground rules for that as, you know, more and more people consider having livestock on their, you know, residential lots and that kind of thing. So.
But if a horse owner now, in existence, has something less than what's recommended, they still can keep them.
As far as I know, Mickey, would you say that's right? I don't think we have anything on the
Yeah,
books
there's
now.
nothing on the books now, so whatever is there is legal. It's whatever you adopt after that point, it would have to comply. Any new uses, not what's there now.
Where do we come up with the size of the property and the quantity of, like in this particular case, horses? Like, what is it, one for first 3 acres? Where did that size of a lot come from?
Again, I think we looked at some other ordinances. I think they had varied from size. You know, there's 2 acres to 5 acres, and there was a discussion held at one of the committee meetings, and you know, 3 was generally, you know, thought was would be a good size, you know, to start with as far as, you know, having horses, 3 acres. But, you know, it's something that we trim back to 2 acres, or 1 acre, whatever you want. I mean, it's really you know, that's the town board's decision. The committee has met and came up with that recommendation for 3 acres, and, you know, if the town board wants to change that particular language, certainly within your right to do so.
There was a lady here that had 3 acres, and I believe she had 5 horses, and she rented some land next door. I'm correct. So under the new regulations, she's grandfathered in to the point that she's got 5 horses. Am I correct? She can keep 5 horses in those 3 acres.
Well, what if she wanted 6 or 7?
If you pass what is currently proposed, she wouldn't be able to do it if she only owns the 3 acres.
Our concern too was not just the amount of horses and things, but the effect that it would have on the property owners too. A lot of the town of Champlain's on ledge. You know, just the runoff from, you know, the horses and things can affect the neighbor as well. There's been problems in the town of Champlain in the past on wells being polluted with, you know, from farms and things. So I think, you know, one of the things we looked at is if a person has 1 acre of land and, you know, has the amount of horses, where are they gonna plow the manure? Where are they gonna do all these things? And not so much how it's gonna affect that individual person, but how it's gonna affect their neighbors. You know, we try to come up with something that's gonna be for the future, not just for today and next week. So, I mean, the last time we had the zoning was 20 years ago, so it's not like we change things on a, you know, every few years, so it's gonna be a number of years down the road. So that was part of the concern, why we came up with a number that we thought would be, you know, large enough for people to have horses and, you know, and also protect the neighborhood too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, zoning does, I mean, the whole goal is to protect property values, right? And, you know, there is an obligation there to protect the property values.
Yes, but with zoning, you do lose rights. So
I'm sorry?
with zoning, you do lose rights.
But it's important.
So can't have it both ways.
And Bruce, now that you mentioned that, I do I recollect the discussion that evening when we were talking about that. To get back to the answer to your question, how we come up with 3 acres, that was part of the discussion, is that you know, the section here says C3, it says manure must be stored at least 100 feet from any property line. I mean, that's probably, you know, a good rule. Now, if you take a typical 1 acre lot, okay, 200 feet by 200 feet, and you have to have your manure pile 100 feet from each property line, and you've got to be right at pinpoint in the center of the lot. So, you know, to allow, you know, storage of manure on a property and still keep it 100 feet away from the property lines, I think that's where we got up to that 3 acre minimum lot size.
What's the difference if the farmer's spreading his manure in the field outside the village?
Yeah.
And now it's liquid manure. This is gonna have the same effect with your ledge rock.
See, there are exceptions in the zoning ordinance for a farm, for a bona fide farm. Then in this particular section, you know, it doesn't apply to established farms. If you meet the definition of an actual farm in the zoning ordinance, then this whole section 130-26 doesn't apply.
Why pick on the horse people? Put our village money, our tax dollars to better use. Leave things alone. Like he just said, you get the zoning, you lose the right. We pay taxes, and like Mr. Barkholm said, he told the public here last week, if any changes, he would have another meeting. So don't push the issue for a vote.
I'm only laying out what the options are for the board. That's my job. I'm not advocating any of these things one way or the other. It's my
Just
job
like
as
Russia.
hired is to lay out the options.
I do intend, if there's any changes, to speak on it all. We'll have another public hearing. You're entitled to know what we're gonna do
That's fair.
and how we vote, okay?
Yep, no,
I understand that.
Good job.
I totally understand that. But I take it that most people that have horses now will be able to keep their horses, their grandfathered in. The only question I have there is their neighbor could have 3 acres also, but it may be limited because they don't have horses now, but they might want horses in the future. That's gonna be the issue. They're gonna say, well, he can do it, I can't. But there is grandfather laws in for many, many types of situations, you know, even building codes. A house before 1994, whatever it is, no inspections, I'm correct, am I right?
Before 84, no.
Okay. The only thing was requested, I believe, way back, was electrical inspections. You wouldn't turn on your power until you had it approved by the electrical inspector. As far as structurally, you could do what you wanted. Now you can't. Okay? It's not being approved, let's put it that way. And any other questions on the horses? We'll stick with one subject at a time, I guess. Everybody pretty well understand those that have horses now will be able to maintain their horses? Should be no changes?
What is the rule? 1 horse, 3 acres, 2 horses?
So that's recommended here. This is,
No, but what is it? 2, 3, 4, what is the?
no, an additional half acre, isn't it, for each horse?
Are you talking about the current rule, Cal?
No, no, the proposed.
The proposed? Well, let me read it to you. I think the crux of the issue is large animals, large farm animals, section 130-26C. Proposed language says, within any district, large farm animals may be kept for private or commercial use, provided that, 1, there is a minimum of 3 acres for the first animal and 1/2 acre for each additional animal. 2, the animals must be housed at least 100 feet from any property line. 3, manure must be stored at least 100 feet from any property line.
That's what is proposed.
Right.
Okay, that has not been
Right.
approved.
Right.
That's what's proposed.
What's a farm animal? Is a llama a farm animal? Is a miniature horse a farm animal? That's gonna produce,
So the definitions list farm animals.
You don't have miniature horses in there though.
Miniatures in
It's
there.
a horse.
Farm animals large. Any breed or variety of alpaca, buffalo, cow, camel, deer, donkey, elk, emu, goat, horse, llama, mule, ostrich, reindeer, sheep, or swine. That's the definition of large farm animal.
I guess the issue is gonna be how many you can maintain on a certain size lot, right? can't have a 5-acre lot with 50 horses. Okay.
So right now, I guess, I don't think there's any restriction right now. I think you said that right. So currently, you could have 50 farms on a 5-acre lot. Or 50 horses on a 5-acre lot. You know, it's not restricted now.
We'll certainly be taking a look at that, but those present owners of horses, I want to assure you that your grandfathered in. That's what our attorney tells us. Do you concur with that?
Yes.
Okay?
Well, may I suggest that members of the board go to places like Wyndham Place and Show Farm, go to places like Gem Farms, the Sorrells in Champlain, go to, David Gay's out of our town, but go to the places that have horses, see the number of acres, and see what kind of an impact they're making in that area. So when you're doing it, it's not just a bunch of paper, it's a bunch of knowledge. You've been there, and you'll know your poop when you get done looking at it. You'll know your situation.
It's not a bad idea, but every situation is going to be different as far as,
I know, but you can look at
yeah, I understand.
you can look at a situation and say, all right, they've got 20 horses here, this is how many acres they've got, and let's see what the problems are.
And depending how close they are to the neighbors. I mean,
Right, and you can see what the situations are and know from an actual situation what you're voting on.
I can tell you with pretty much assurance, there's no limitation until another public hearing. Okay? Great.
Excuse me, now, as an existing business now,
Yes,
you're saying I'm grandfathered in,
yes.
but you're saying I'm not able to expand at any point?
I don't know how many horses you got, and I'm not counting them.
Okay, fair enough.
Is that a fair
Yeah,
assumption?
that's fine, yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
If somebody comes, tells me, I don't know how big your lot is, if somebody comes back and tells me, you got 5 acres, you got 500 horses, then there's gonna be a question.
Right.
To answer your question, I have been at Wind Place and Show.
Okay?
And it's- I do sit on this board and I do not pass paper in front of me. I'd like to rephrase to that comment.
No, what I'm saying is,
I'd like to
go there.
rephrase that comment, that I don't pass paper through me. I usually examine property or whatever it may be that's facing me. End of my statement.
Okay, well, look, don't get all bent out of shape here, Richard. That wasn't my point. My
It was
point
an
is,
accusation.
I didn't say that. I said what the board should do from this point on.
Alvin, when you take pictures up there, you should be in front of the camera as well.
There's my hand. Okay, now, what I'm saying is, if this has been brought up to the board, what the board should do from this point on is look at that. Go to the Wind Place Show. I don't know, I did a story there. I don't know how many horses they've got there. I don't know how many acres they've got there. But you can see that there's no impact. If you've been there, Dick, you know that there's no impact.
Exactly.
Right.
That's my point.
So what you can do is count, find out how many horses. I don't know. And, and then make an informed decision.
Okay.
I didn't say you weren't doing that. I said that's what the board should be doing right now.
Okay.
I think, Mr. Supervisor, it's probably, fair for everyone to understand too, that if you have an unusual situation, that's what the appeal process is for. If there's, if you go to the codes enforcement officer and say, look, I've got 3 acres of land, but I wanna put 6 horses on it because, that's how I gain my income. It's a financial hardship for me to only be limited to 1 horse, okay? So, there is, an avenue in the zoning, to go before the zoning board of appeals and ask them for a variance. There's, 5 criteria, 5 tests that you have to meet. You have to prove that it's an economic hardship on you, and that it's not going to be a detriment to the neighborhood. Maybe your neighbors are 600 feet away to the closest house. So you can go before the zoning board and you can present your case, and the zoning board may grant you a variance if you do want to go beyond the requirements set forth in the zoning ordinance. And that goes for the zoning ordinance as a whole. If you can't meet these requirements, and if you can prove that it's a hardship and prove these other tests for a zoning variance, you can certainly come before the zoning board and ask for the variance on any of these issues.
Any other question on horses? I'm assuming the other issue is campers. Does anybody wish to address the board on the issue of campers?
I believe I've addressed them before.
Yes.
You know everybody's point on the camper situation, especially the Ross's Point residents that do not have the space in Ross's Point to store their campers. They own property on the outskirts of Ross's Point, pay taxes on it, vacant lots. They store their campers, their boats, and extra vehicles or whatever they have to. And if you take this away, then they won't have any place to put their campers. So it is a hardship on Ross's Point residents.
No, it's not just Russell's Point residents. but-
Well, I'm speaking about, because I live in Ross's Point, so it is on us, but this is affecting, as we seen Mr. Southcoop was here, it's not only Ross's Point, it affects everybody in the whole area, so.
Understand? I mean, I've said it privately, I can say it publicly. I believe if you can park a 40-foot motor on a vacant lot, you probably should be able to park a camper, but that's strictly my opinion, okay? The two boards need to get together, zoning board, planning board, town board, come up with some compromising wording, would that be the right phrase? And nothing will happen. If any changes are made at all, I will request a public hearing, so people get a chance to come back. And even at that time, we don't have to make a decision. We don't want to put it off forever either. Okay? Does anybody else have any questions on campers?
Can I know, I understand what the problem was with the horse, because of the manure and the cows or whatever. What started the problem with the campers? What was that, what's that addressing?
To the best of my knowledge, from the people that addressed us, there's people who would like to park a camper, travel trailer, or whatever you want to call it, on a vacant lot with no residence. As the law is written here, the person can keep up to 2 campers, I believe, on a lot in the town that has a residence there. If there's no residence, as it's written, you can't park a camper, okay? Doesn't say you can't park a boat or 2 old cars. You can have 2 junk cars in this town, I believe, unregistered vehicles on a lot. Not much can be done about that, the way the law is now, okay? So a lot of people are concerned, why can't I also park a camper? That was the issue.
And the answer is, why can't they? But, you know, it must have been a reason why the board came up with that. I'm just wondering what it was, why they came to that decision.
Well, I'll speak for the committee, Calvin. I won't beat around the bush. I think the concern is it has to do with property values. I think if if a person occupies a otherwise vacant lot with a mobile home or with a travel trailer on a year-round basis, I think the concern is what impact does that have on the neighboring parcel that has a conventionally built residential house on it? What effect does it have on the assessment?
So it'd be like
value
moving
of the neighborhood?
it'd be like moving a 16 by 70 trailer in to a residential area that's not zoned for trailers, that type of thinking,
That kind of thing, yeah. The ordinance does carefully define the difference between a travel trailer and a manufactured home or a mobile home. And I think the distinction is 40 feet. So anything less than 40 feet is generally considered a travel trailer. And this doesn't restrict a person from using a private lot for that purpose, for camping out for the summer, for a summer home. It just says that you have to come to the code enforcement officer and get a permit, and that way the code enforcement officer can go out there and make sure that that summer residence travel trailer is adequately hooked up to water and sewer and electricity facilities, and to make sure that they're not dumping their sewage into a 55-gallon drum buried in the ground, that kind of thing. So I think that's what the concern of, if I'm hearing it right, that's what the concern of the committee members was.
From what I understand, there's 2 issues here. There's people that would like to park their campers on a weekend or throughout the winter months on a vacant lot in the town of Champlain. And then there's the other folks that use a vacant lot as a residence in the summertime. And I think there's 2 issues that need to be separated within the proposed law. I really do believe that you need to find something that would accommodate the people who just want to park their trailers there on a vacant lot.
Store them. is that-
Store them, yeah.
Not
Not
inhabitable.
occupy them, not use them as a residence on a weekend or in the wintertime, like I said. And then, because if the issue is to protect property value, yeah. I mean, if you got somebody who's living on a vacant lot, living there for 6 months out of the year, yeah, that may have an impact on my house next door that may be valued at $200,000 or something. But I think the person who would like to just store it on a weekend because they live in a village or their housing lot may not be big enough, I think that's separate, but the law does not accommodate for those two different issues. That's my opinion. I think it really needs to separate those two issues.
I'd be curious to see how you're gonna solve that problem.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm gonna look at the minutes from your board meetings before, because I believe what I understood at the public hearing was there was an agreement between the board and the people that went to that board. And then the next meeting that it kind of, that agreement went away. And I need to look back at those meeting minutes and find out what that agreement was.
So I think what Dennis is saying makes a lot of sense, but what you're saying, Mickey, is who's going to determine if it's vacant or occupied, what you're indicating?
I just want to see what the proposal would be that Mr. Roberts is putting forward. We've tried for 5 years to come up with something, and every time you try to make this part of the thing accommodate a certain group, it offsets the other side. The more you kick it, the worse it gets. So I'm curious. There is no solution to the whole thing that's going to keep everybody happy.
How do you propose
not
figuring out,
proposing it.
no, how do you find out how you're gonna do the horse situation? Are you gonna go over there and count how many horses today, tomorrow? You got a problem there too.
There's my bosses. You
That's
ask
right.
them what they want me to do.
It's the same situation. We're not asking for anything
You know,
difficult.
probably wouldn't count horses until somebody complains, okay? Or probably, if somebody parks their stores, their camper on a vacant lot, if we allow it, we're not gonna go there every week and check to see if it's still vacant or not. But if somebody calls in and tells us, hey, that's on a vacant lot, it's for storage, and they've been living in it for a month in the middle of winter, then we have a concern. Because most vacant lots probably don't have electricity, water, or sewer, okay? It's not inhabitable, it's not a campground, it's, I don't know what, okay? And the law is such, I believe now, you can park a camper on a lot and camp in it, what, 21 days, am I correct?
14.
14? Okay, then you can ask for a permit, free of charge?
No, right now it's 14, period.
What's proposed?
What was proposed is up to 120 days.
Yeah.
4 months.
You can make a permit 4 months. I'm not gonna do it.
But not to interrupt you, sir, but he did say that if you get the permit for the 120 days, you must be hooked up to adequate water, electric,
Right,
and sewer.
That's what it says.
So basically, they're gonna be hooked up to that anyway.
Yeah, in a lot of instances, the proposed law
Yeah.
is more lenient than the current law. Current law is.
A lot. I'm anxious for these discussions.
The storage is definitely two parts, like Dennis said, there's a storage matter and there's a matter of people living in it that's to be separated.
Was there a reason for instance, I wasn't in on these zoning planning board meetings. Junk cars, unregistered vehicles, doesn't have to be junk, it could be unregistered vehicles. I think a law now says,
I think we changed that.
we did,
Well, it's proposed to be changed to one of
Yeah,
but as such, right now, it's 2.
Yeah. But don't forget, these were written in 1994, you know, it's 20 years ago.
Is there any provisions in there about storing boats? In the proposed?
No,
I don't believe there is anything on the storage of boats. I just want to point out that that you do have a separate local law for junkyards. And I think we did want to bring that to your attention, is that you may want to examine the junkyard law too. The new zoning ordinance kind of defers when it comes to junk vehicles and junkyards and that kind of thing. This kind of defers to that local law that was passed a few years back, which specifically addressed the keeping of junk and junk yards and that kind of thing. So this junk in general was not addressed with this zoning rewrite. But in answer to your question about boats, I don't recall if there's anything in here specifically about the storage of boats.
We're going back to the drawing board, I guess. Somewhat, anyway.
Well, I would suggest that we have a meeting together, and we worked on this for a year, not counting the 3 years before this that we met. And I would suggest that the town board come up with some language on this and present it, instead of when we meet, we've come up with something. I think we can, tweak it again, but I would suggest the town board come up with language to put into this, since you're the ones who are gonna be voting on it. And, review the law and come up with something. We've been over this time and time again, and we just didn't pick these things out of the air, like some people think we have. I mean, we sat here and we had arguments off and on, time and time again. And yes, something's in, something's out. You put something in and you look at it for a few weeks, and, going through past experiences, you may want to pull it out, because it's something that we felt is going to be the right thing to do. I mean, we just didn't pick these things out of the air, like some people think we did. We've worked on this for 5 years. And with Mr. Allen's guidance here, he really brought us around and gave us, guided us through this last year. I would suggest, you see what we have, and I think, we can tweak this, but I think you people need to come up with some language, because you're the ones who are going to be voting on it.
I agree.
I think we need to get together.
Based on what you said, Bruce, first of all, I want to applaud the committee, because I can't believe the number of hours I can't imagine the number of hours you guys have spent with this, and the number of changes, and then to only have those 2 areas of concern, like Scott said earlier. That's quite amazing in itself. I believe zoning, like I said earlier, that does need to protect property values. That's the utmost importance. And but I only have those 2 areas of concern because people brought those areas, those concerns. And I think you're absolutely right. We need to sit as a team and work together to come up with proper language for I can vote aye instead of nay.
You don't need to be like the American Congress going on right now. We need to sit down and come up with something.
You want to schedule a time to vote to?
I got no problem meeting whenever we're going to really do it.
I'm ready anybody.
We've got a lot of meetings this fall, I'll tell you guys. We've got a ton of them. But that's okay, part of our job.
Yeah. So if all the board members are going to be involved, you want to make sure you notice it as a town board meeting, I would imagine. So, you know your schedule better than I.
When is your next meeting? Do you have one?
We're done. We presented the draft to you. I mean, if you direct the committee to reconvene, I'm sure they'll be happy to do it.
What nights did you normally meet on? Did you have a specific night, or you just kind of like?
Wednesday nights? Second Wednesday, yeah. Yeah, that seemed to work out in terms of planning board meetings and zoning board meetings. The second Wednesday was an off night.
Well, I think someone was going to, the town board meeting, have to do it to take them.
Can I throw out there the 23rd? I know we're meeting on the 22nd.
Julie's on the
I'm not available on Wednesday nights.
Okay.
And if I have to be here.
22nd, we're gonna be here.
Yeah.
How about the 15th, too soon? Next Tuesday night?
That'll work for me. me if it will work.
Bruce.
Yeah, we're going to Potsdam to a seminar on its own. We might even discuss it at that seminar.
Okay, okay.
But I don't know what time we'll be back.
We're just going out.
5:30.
We should be back by 5:30. As long as you provide lunch.
I'm not here on the 15th.
Well, you're on vacation, aren't you? I don't remember the town board approving that.
I would suggest that you come up with some preliminary language, because this is gonna be a town board meeting. The public is gonna be here, and if 50 people all have input, we're gonna be right where we're at now.
Yeah, you're right.
Unless we have an agenda with something to look at, which you wanna discuss, or we can tweak, it's gonna be all the what ifs all over again.
You're not being invited now? Up to you, maybe that night. 29th, does that work?
I'm off, I'm gonna be off the whole week of the last week in October, I'm not, we said on a beach.
Why don't you add it to our other one then? Does the, if you say the 22nd?
We already have two, don't we?
Yeah, but it's not anything. Budget,
So we have two.
we're down to the nitty gritty with the budget.
Not to change anything, but do we gotta make a motion tonight to have that? Nobody said anything about it, I have that in the paper. You have another budget workshop on the 22nd?
Yes.
Yes.
You weren't here. January. Goodness sakes.
And what's the other one we got that night? Oh, that's with that joint thing with the town, with the village. That shouldn't be a long.
Well, it could be. Figuring out. You better write that one to do it.
So that's a special town board meeting,
I will,
that Joey?
yes, but I will confirm that in the morning, because I have to talk to Bill and everything, okay? Don't send that one until I talk to you. 29th, you're gone.
Yeah, I'm not here that week.
Well,
Either one.
It's on November 6th. It's on Wednesday night.
I'll go into November, guys, if you want.
November 6th.
That would be Wednesday.
Oh, you can't do Wednesday. Is it Thursday or something?
That's the planning board meeting. But that's at 5:30, so
Well, I'm gonna go
That might work.
if you do it after the planning board.
6:30?
Is that a long one though?
The planning board is usually what time?
It's at 5:30, but we're usually out of here by 6.
You want to plan the
6:30,
planning board?
6:30.
Does that work for you, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Thursday night, November 7th?
You got a planning board meeting that night. You stay over an hour or so after the regular planning board meeting?
No, I only have one person too. You, I think you're on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, but
What, the farm? Oh,
So so Calvin's the only person I have so far.
okay, but
So you should be all right.
that meeting, that night, can you stay over
Yes,
to meet with the town board
yes.
and the zoning board? Bruce?
Yeah. Fine, I know we can.
So your meeting's at 5:30?
The meeting's at 5:30, I should be done by no later than 6 o'clock.
Will that work?
Unless I get 5 or 6 more, and I doubt it, because it's been very slow.
Okay. So November 7th, Thursday night, you can, okay? You all right with that?
I got another meeting that night, but I'm not gonna be a minority here.
It's going to be almost impossible to get a meeting.
It is.
Everybody gets that. Steve, you all right with the 7th? Dennis?
Yep.
John?
Yep.
What time was that?
6:15 probably.
6:15, yeah.
And if I may, I'd certainly invite, I'll act as the repository for, proposed language. If you send it to me, I'll bring it that night at the meeting. And, they can show it up on a board and examine the various suggestions for changes in the language. That's okay.
Yeah, I think Bruce, Russ had a good idea. let us get something together beforehand too, you know?
Sure, okay. Yeah, just to give you my email address, it's Scott Allen, SCOTTALLEN, at aesnortheast.com. Okay, my phone number is 561-1598.
Anybody needs it or forgets it, call in and we'll get it.
All right, well, we'll get to work on some revised language, and we'll take a look at it on November 7th.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to suggest that the people, the public who have reservations, should get them to you before that meeting, so you can look at it and come up with something and not wait till the public hearing when it's on paper again and you gotta start over from
I have
scratch.
no problem with anybody contacting me or any of our councilmen beforehand. We know your thoughts. If you wanna get to us again, we can do that.
Well, then
Send
come
it
up
to
with,
me, I'll send it right up to your office.
Okay? There you go. Reasonable people will come to reasonable conclusions somewhere down the road.
It's not in Washington, then.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on zoning and planning? Zoning? Okay, I do need an executive session to discuss personnel. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion to go into executive